Thanks for tuning into the Market Wrap. I'm Niraj Shah with Nickey Mirchandani, and it's turned out to be a good day of trade. I don't think too many people would have anticipated this, especially on day when Reliance cracks the way it did. But we'll get through all of those, the large cap action, the mid cap action, and then what to watch out for. First, let's get the indices up on the screen for you and get the Nifty price bars just to show you what moved and what didn't, right? So here's the index move, flattish returns, and well, look at the bottom of your screen. When was the last time that you saw Reliance Industries cracking the way it did? 8.8%. And I doubt it's only the results that it got to do something with it. A lot of rumor mills doing the rounds, so we wouldn't want to get into that, but that stock was down about 8%, and that essentially led the indices lower. And then some other pharma names, metal names, etc. cracking. What did well were banks and rate sensitives largely did well, and Bharti Airtel did well. So that was the order of the day today. Look at that. Aside of Bharti Airtel, all the other are financial names, and that tells you a story. Well, I'm guessing if you ask Nickey what stood out in the trade or the stock of the day, it could either be Reliance or it could be some of the financial names. Nickey, what is it?
Yeah, it looks like the market is learning to live without Reliance Industries' performance coming in. So we're going to be focusing this time around on INDUSIND Bank, where the numbers were rather solid. And there were upgrades which came in from a couple of brokerage. What I've picked up is two brokerage. Nomura, which is at this point of time maintain the buy rating, but revised higher the target price. And I said that the bank is headed in the right direction. At this point of time, it's expecting the restructuring at a low single digit continues to outperform. Upfront provisioning is expected to, there would be a provisioning happening on the upfront basis for COVID. And of course, the valuation at this point of time, one time the September 2022 book value is relatively undemanding, because of which you're seeing some amount of uptick coming in for INDUSIND Bank. And also, JPMORGAN went ahead and upgraded the counter to neutral from underweight, and of course hiked the target price to 650 from 475. It said that there was a collection efficiency in vehicle finance which is improved, and also the provisioning in the second half of the financial year is expected to remain elevated to an extent to cover up for the added risk in the portfolio, which also in a way is a positive for the bank.
Well, that was the large cap action in the day. The broader end of the spectrum, I thought on the derivative side at least, the breadth was pretty even Stevens, with maybe some more gainers than losers. In the NSE 500 though, which is the non-derivative space, not necessarily non-derivative space, but also as the cash stocks, the breadth wasn't as kind. So 300 stocks are declining, and 184 advancing. And well, look at the winners again, rate sensitives all the way, right? And the Godrej Properties of the world, Cholamandalam Investment, Jamna Auto, then the larger banking and financial names, LIC Housing Finance. So essentially, that's the set of stocks which did well. What didn't do well, aside of course, Reliance, some results reactions for Justal and Shilpa Medicare, I reckon. There's some bit of softness in pharma by and large, and that seems to have taken a bit of a backseat, really, pharma. But Nickey, the broader end of the spectrum, since there's just so much to choose, what should investors ideally focus on? What are the 2 or 3 key variables in the broader end of the spectrum today?
Sure. From the last 2-3 trading session, Niraj, if you've noticed, the real estate stocks have been doing rather well. In today's trade, it was Godrej Properties, the second consecutive session, which is, rather the stock has ended in green, and with a sharp uptick, it's 9.5%, 10% kind of a move by Godrej Property. That's ahead of the earnings tomorrow. What DLF did also was quite surprising, and it was decent performance coming in even for DLF. And the street probably is estimating that Godrej Property also would be able to replicate the same amount of performance, because of which you've seen that amount of rally coming into the counter. What also did well in trade was HAVELLS, of course. ICICI Securities upgraded the counter to a buy from hold earlier, and it said that the consumer business, which formed around 75%, right now, there was a 15% growth which was witnessed out there. They expect the consumer-facing business to continue to do well. And with this, they have revised the earning estimate upward by a 76% and a 14% respectively for this financial year and the next financial year. They've also rolled over the valuation and the value of the company at 41 times to the FY23 estimates. So that's pretty much, strong numbers coming in for the counter. More than that, the outlook seems to be very positive. But Neeraj, what you're quickly picking up, Reliance, of course, as you just mentioned, but anything apart from that you'd like to watch out for? Some scrappage policy, or for that matter, any earning that caught your eye?
Yeah, I think if indeed we get something from the scrappage policy, and that could be interesting for some of the autos and auto ancillaries, particularly the CV players. So, people will watch out for Ashok Leyland, people will watch out for the financiers, people will watch Chola, for example, and the suppliers to CVs, which is, I reckon, Jamna Auto was up as well. So I think all of those stocks will be in focus depending on what comes out of the scrappage policy. So that is one key thing to monitor. I think the trade takeaways, Nikki, most importantly, and you got to ponder over what's happened in trade today. So India has performed in line with the Asian markets. And it's interesting that banking is helping offset the Reliance-led pressure. As we said, the 9 stocks were banking names. But the key is, I think IT and pharma are now in the backseat, despite positive data points as well as results. So more and more companies in the IT space are gaining newer contracts. Pharma companies' results are good, largely, but maybe an eye on the future or just a rotation out of defensives into banking and BFSI is leading to some of these names just coming under a lot of pressure. So that is probably the pain point currently. However, anything that one should watch out for on the global front, Nikki? What is it that the data points are suggesting? Anything else that should people watch out for?
Clearly, US presidential election, I think most of the market would be eyeing in for the results which come in on a Tuesday. So there is a lot of uncertainty around that. And of course, most of the investors are also trading at the sidelines ahead of the big event coming in. European market at this point of time, they're quite positive. Reacting to that positive bit of handover that they've got from the Asian peers at this point of time, because of the kind of Chinese manufacturing data, which is quite positive. But again, if you look at the Dow features at this point of time, they're indicating to a negative start coming in for Wall Street, which, of course, all the eyes will be on the US presidential election, which will be taking place tomorrow. So a big event coming in, but then all eyes on how does the globe react to it tonight. With this, it's a wrap, and thank you so much for watching BloombergQuint.